Hello and welcome to the Mindful Man Project. This is where we discuss all the issues and pieces of the puzzle that is mental health. We look at the things in life that get people down or create anxiety in their life and hopefully give some guidance on how to become a modern mindful man or woman. I am your host, Tyson Venables. Today guys, we have Dan Ballard. Dan's a yoga teacher, life mentor, epic dude. We're both from the New South Wales Central Coast and cross paths a little bit here, there and everywhere, and running the same lines of playing footy and stuff like that along the way. And really reached out to Dan and wanted to get him on board because he's doing some great things up there and with his prosperity fitness and prosperity life. So figured what better chance to get him on board and see what he's doing in the land of mindfulness and helping men and or women. Welcome, Dan.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for having me.
I hope I nailed that introduction.
It'll do. We'll run with that.
Thanks for coming on. Well, let's just get to know you a little bit more and let the listeners hear what you've been up to, what you're getting up to, and in the next
cool, man.
6 to 12 months.
Yeah. So we'll build on what you just said. Like again, just that it all started in the background of health and fitness with Prosperity Fitness, and what I've been up to is I built my own little lane. So I've been I guess the predominance of my business lies in more so the facilitation and mentoring scope. Now that does encompass like teaching yoga. It's one of my passions. I love bringing people into that deeply connected state, mind, body, spirit. And yeah, the physicality of the practice, I guess, has evolved from my background in fitness and through my studies into yoga and mindfulness. It's just being this beautiful, like adaptive generation of my products. So I mean, that's what I've been doing and taking it all around the world and sharing with people. I'm off to India.
Oh yeah.
Next week.
Is that for your own retreat, or are you just going to teach?
No, I got invited to do this one. This is a beautiful experience with a company called Karmic Journeys.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so we get to head over there, and I'll be teaching some leadership stuff. Giving my journey through consciousness practice, which is like a 2-hour workshop, where people get taken deep within. So yeah, that brings up the speed a bit. I've done some cool stuff, working with businesses and CEOs, and yeah, lots going on.
Yeah, just watching from the outside in, like, and just seeing everything that you've been up to, and it is really quite inspiring, but also it's quite intriguing to see what you've been doing and what you're up to, and like just really even just getting into the nitty gritty on like what prosperity life is and like what you're doing in that realm. That's like, I see all these people coming on, these testimonials and stuff that you're posting, and the people just honestly look like they're getting life-changing experiences. So I just really love to know like what that is and what your prosperity life has been.
Yeah,
what it's carved out to do.
Yeah, I mean, I see your way of life, your way of being, and how you show up too. And I think you're deeply connected to what I'm doing for that reason. It's sometimes the tangibility of what I do is it's hard to express and give people that real experience to grasp onto what I'm doing. It's just it's better to come through the mouths of those who I've served for understanding, you know. So but to shed some light on what you're saying, it's it quite literally is a deep dive. It encompasses a lot of the work that I've done within myself, but also in human behavior. So behavioral science, psychology, habit science, and just the blending in of mindfulness practice and the yogic philosophy, and my own personal philosophies through pain and pain management. That's a journey in itself, but yeah, essentially it's the coming together of many different things over many years.
Yeah.
And what you're seeing is, I guess, a product that gives people a chance to really tap in deep within to the deeper understandings of the self, of themselves as individuals, of how they're operating, how they can how they're operating, not so much on how they think, but actually how they're actually operating below the level of their awareness.
Yeah.
And from that point, it's about building that beautiful association to who and what they are, which is, I mean, to me, that's the most inspiring work. And I think that's why people are so inspired with this stuff, is because right down deep, where I've been in my own pain journey, is the soul. Our soul's condition thrives, and it wants to experience the purest emotion of freedom. As the infinite love as it is, I believe that's who we are deep down, is infinite love. So there's a lot of layers
absolutely
to be understood on that journey, brother. Yeah, as you would know.
I always refer to myself as Shrek, like, you know how Shrek is. I'm an onion. I've got many layers. It's like, exactly, I'm the onion. I've got many layers, and it's like, you've been on that your pain journey, and that's just, you just start peeling all that stuff away, and at the heart of it is, you've got this heart of gold and this heart of love that everybody has, and it's just how they learn to express it. And I guess that's what you're doing, and helping people through your own journey and your own learnings, and allow people then to see, okay, like, you're able to do this, like, this is where you can be like that yourself. And being in that witness state of the thought processes and stuff that go on in your head, and you go, okay, well, like, I'm telling myself this, or this keeps coming up, and witnessing why it keeps
the narrative.
The narrative.
And that's essentially it. Yeah, it's the meditation. The practice that we both like live our lives by. It doesn't stop, man. Like, something that really makes my blood boil is like is seeing these flash hot yogis that on the mat have this beautiful trail, beautiful image, and then off the mat it's everything but. So I guess what I stand for is integrity. It's showing up in the truest form of yoga off the mat, and it's teaching students that the stuff they learn with me and what they go through is happening for them. It's what you're saying. It's like, talk about the onion layers. It's like, as we peel back, and it doesn't have to be all done at once, but as we peel back, we get lighter the closer we get to our core, just like an onion. The closer we get to the core, it gets lighter.
Yeah.
And with this comes this just like plenitude of self-understanding, which is the closer we understand our operating system, the way we work, and also how we see life, the easier life becomes. Like, life doesn't get easier, we just get better. So, I mean, I was talking to a client of mine, and she's an entrepreneur, beautiful woman. I was talking about this yesterday. It's like, we're talking about perception, how our human perception is just awareness shaped by belief, because I'm putting in a lot of work on this belief layer, and I'm trying to broaden her perception, just to expand the perception of how she perceives. We're talking about objects. We're looking at one of the plants I have here in my office, and we're looking at it, and I said to her, I want you to look at that plant and tell me what you see, and then I'll tell you what I see. And it's like two very similar observations, but different in their own ways. It's like, from this understanding, we can understand that, like, we don't see things as they are, we see them as we are.
Yeah.
So this even just that thought inspires us to do this work on a deeper level, to realize, like, everything that's happening around us is a perfect reflection of what's happening within ourselves.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's up to us. Yeah, it's up to us to do the work.
I had that same chat with someone yesterday as well, and it's just like, there's a lot of stuff that you could potentially be, you could be doing, or you should be doing, or you're wanting to do, or getting to that next level. But it's like, everything that's happening right now is what should be happening for you, and enjoying where you are right now, and not trying to skew those things, or looking at something and go, I have to do it. And just really taking a moment just to step back and realize that those things that you're looking at right now may change down, and it's, like you said, like, it's completely different. Like, I see a banana, you might see something different, or you might see a spotted banana. I'm looking at bananas right now across. But it's like, like, you see the spots on the banana, and they might look really dark, but I look at that and it looks like it's a ripe banana to me. So it's everybody's view is different. It's even, especially when you start to look inside, like, the way you're seeing me right now, I might feel like my moustache looks terrible, and you're telling me that it looks great. And it's just like, each person's like different thing. So, I think it's pretty special when you start to realize that you can't factor what everybody else is doing. It's only you have the power to influence the way your life progresses from here, rather than and you're really not in the driver's seat anyway. It's like you just really got to succumb to allowing what is about to evolve.
For sure, man. For sure. And that's like, dude, that's if I can literally, like, from wisdom and experience, and also just observation of the conscious collective right now, like everyone around, to me, the most liberating thing that we can pay attention to is exactly what you just said. It's seeing like how we're getting owned. We're getting owned in an environment of stress. I think every single person I meet, and they come through my coaching, or they look into my mentoring, they're a student, everyone's dealing with anxiety of some sort. And it's the perception of anxiety. Like, sometimes I just stop people in their tracks and just say, look, even though it is a touchy subject, and we start talking about anxiety, people just spin out straight away. Like, I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to speak truth. I understand it's an epidemic and it is mental health, but let's just look at anxiety from a different viewpoint. Like, we're given emotions. Energy in motion is our emotion. It's our life. The fact that we can actually feel and interpret our emotions in this way is a good thing. It's just that the way that we're conditioned, and I guess the labels that we use, and the pressure that we're under, that deems it as, it's a point of suffering. See, me, I look at anxiety, being a chronic, like, I was a chronic anxiety sufferer, and that's what drew me to yoga. It's one of the many reasons that I guess that yoga found me. And I'm talking from experience. Like, if thoughts are the language of the mind, then our feelings are the language of the body. What if anxiety is just feedback, interpretation, messages given to us to guide us? As opposed to this is happening to me, poor me. It's that victim mentality.
Yeah.
Like, what we're trying to do, what you and I are trying to do, is create this point where we're trading in that story, that narrative, where we're adjusting the faulty mechanism. There's nothing wrong with you. We just need to adjust the mechanism and see things from a different standpoint, become a bit more self-aware, and use those tools to be able to take care of our emotions and use them as a way to prosper, a way to advance our life and understand ourselves and other people around us.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, it's catching those samskaras or the stories before they start becoming these, like, best-selling fiction novels, like, in your head that nobody else has ever read. Like, you can start to think like, people are thinking shit about me, and like, hang on a minute, that's just you telling this. You telling yourself these stories, or like, I'm not good at this, and it's like, who said? Like, nobody's, like, you're telling yourself these stories, and these anxieties start to really fester and boil up. But it's like, I'm the same thing. I've suffered anxiety, like, on and off throughout my life, and without knowing, I always thought it was just this, like, ball of just energy that I was like, oh shit, until I was drawn to yoga, and the same thing, like, started realizing, okay, this more leveled chill, like this chill vibe that came over me, I was like, this is this is what normal feels like. And when you're then,
what is this? Like,
yeah, exactly. And like, especially when once meditation layered in there on top of it, then you're like, we got meditation and yoga, and you're just now starting to find this center. And then when it starts to, like, those thoughts start to come into that anxious realm, or even into the depressive side, you're like, no, like, let's come back to center, and we'll start moving forward. And I think that's the biggest takeaway I teaching people as well, is like, being in check and working out and just knowing where you're starting to drift off to one way or the other, and just bring yourself back. And then that way, then you can really just start to know, okay, this is where my true self is. And then but like, again, it's another layer. It's one of those things, like, sometimes those stories have gone so far as having to then chip away, like, what is the actual real story that's playing out? So
yeah, man. So essentially that's what I'm doing. Like, you've just brought insight into essentially what I'm doing. It's like, it's helping people become aware of that baseline. Like it's bringing things back to the center.
Yeah.
Like, and like that's how I teach my yoga classes too. They're heavily inspired as a physical practice, and I bring this like really, and it's usually through my cueing. I take people on like a storytelling journey through their body. So it's a dance with their anatomy, and all the physiological responses that happen in the body through this state of awareness. But I guess to keep it real simple, it's helping people find that center, what you talk about, because the moment we see this in our life too, like we come in contact with someone, I'm seen as a powerful individual by a lot of people, and those who are willing to understand how they can experience this themselves, they ask this question, like, well, how do you attain this personal power? Like, is it your ego? Like, where's it come from? Like, I'm trying to interpret. They try to interpret and think about how they can attain that in their lives. And it's literally like, okay, let's just keep things simple. Like, you've got to find that medium, that baseline, and a baseline awareness of who you are. What your passions are, what sets you free, and start to take things in that direction. Like, feeling good is the way. It's not the product. Like, this is where we're all getting known. It's like, where I'm at has taken me 8 years to get to.
Yeah.
And to a lot of people, it's like, oh, he's just taken yoga up, intense yoga up 4 years ago and changed his life 4 years ago, and now he's a success. Like, it's not that. It's the precursor to that as well too. They don't see the rest of it. They don't see the point where I was going to take my life. Like, and as this grows, this story will start to come out. But again, it's just a story. It's a narrative. It's not who I am. And even now, as I speak to you, this person that we're speaking about now, that's going to evolve too.
Yeah.
So, but there's something inside, and it's more so around my work. I like to focus on the limbic brain, where it's like the deep seat of our memories, our ideas, our ideologies, and I guess more of our intrinsic motivation comes from this point in our brain. So it's understanding the brain and also suppressing the fluctuations of the mind, the vrittis.
Yeah.
And then we can start to see things a lot more clearly. So we get this baseline, and then it's as simple as seeing it like this. It's like, find the present moment, here now, eyes forward. Whether it's this is really helpful for men. It's like, because we have this ability to be able to rationalize with ourselves and be really centered and go, all right, here now, what is here now? Now eyes forward. And then it's about keeping control of this. Like, we're in control of that inner world, not anything around us. That's the illusion. That's where we're all getting owned. When we understand that we're in control of how we think, what we feel, our attitude, our worldview, our judgments of ourselves, which ultimately are the judgments of other people, all these things that make up our inner mechanisms, our inner workings, our inner world. Like, when we understand how that's operating, we can literally find that center. And then when life does its thing and we start to go too far forward, or we start to draw back on the past, we just see that we're just suffering in these 2 points. Like, the future can be very powerful especially if you're in that scope of law of attraction and manifestation. Like, it's very powerful. But where we suffer is anxieties, generally thoughts anchored in the future. Depression, thoughts anchored in the past. What is actually happening is we're just letting the mind skip from this baseline, this center, and we're suffering from our fantasy, and we're also suffering from our imagination. So if we can have the tools and the awareness to go, sweet, like, this is just my mind imagining things. Just as we look at an object in front of us and go, I'm seeing it as I am, and it may be that might be a bit skewed, but that's what I see right now. We can literally mediate and reflect and have that meditation in our life experience to sort of seek a proactive approach. And that's where the real power comes in. And this isn't just talking about mindfulness now. This is talking about, like, being proactive. And to me, it's like, if everyone had this ability, the world would be a much, much better place.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I think, and that's the thing. It's like, as eventually, like, what you and I are doing, and many others, is just trying to lift that level of consciousness for everyday life. It's just like being aware of different things and different patterns and stuff that are playing out, that you can then start to change where your center is and influence it for where you actually want to be and what you're at that. And that's what I think, like with how you're drawing back to that, the men, the more the logical brain where they go from A to B, where we've got that kind of direct pattern. We can kind of see where we're going. We want to get there. We're going to get this way or that way. But then women have kind of got that more feminine flow where they go from A to B to C to D, and then they get to, like, they get 8.1, 8.2, 8.3, 8.4, then they're at B. But I think, like, for men, we've got to try and find a little bit of like that feminine energy where we can sway from left to right, but then eventually,
for sure.
And then but not
the
being
word
rigid in attachment.
Bingo, rigid. It's like, the word I love for this is teaching men how to become a bit more fluid. So my life, like, have you seen? I threw these up on my IG I think it was last week, to see photos of me from back in the day.
Yeah.
And when I said it back in the day, it's like 4 years ago. I'd be lucky to be on 80 kilo right now.
Yeah.
And I look back at these photos, I'm about 100 kilo, just like stuck in the mud. Looking strong and big, but so broken and weak on the inside. What set my life free, if I can sum up that journey, that, like, the intense work I've put in across the last 4 years, if I can sum that up, it's like, it's me just owning my feminine nature. And just realizing that feminine doesn't mean like being a girl or being a bitch.
Yeah.
It's like, it's literally like an energy polarity that's present within us. It's present within both sexes.
Yeah.
If men can tap into this, like, we become, not just for our women, but we become like a safe haven for women to trust us. Anyone. Trust is huge in our life experience, whether it's dealing with any type of human relationship or anyone in business. It's trust is everything, and that's only going to proliferate. If people aren't trusted, you're not going to do well in life.
Yeah,
it's simple. So it's like, I find, man, and I'm having these discussions come up a lot lately around masculine and feminine. It's like, and I'll probably be heavily criticized about this, but this is just my truth. But men are in a very confused position at the moment. It's of what place to take up in society, and also where they sit and lie. So if I can speak from a man who has been confused in the past, who has walked the path that we speak of, and is a product of what I'm doing, I can just say that, like, we're in a time where the pain that women have felt ancestrally through the lineage to where we are now, it's like, what we've been met with is so much challenge to understand where we fit, where we sit, how we show up, what to do, how to be in relation to women. Because you find this as well too, like, women, and this isn't critical, this is just my observation, I'm just trying to be objective here.
Yeah.
And I am a male, but it is an objective vision for myself. And I had this with a chat with this friend of mine who actually brought this concept to me. It's like, women are like, and there's like this big feminist empowerment movement. Okay. Now, I'm about empowerment for both sexes. There is no divide in my work. And you see my work, it's like for both. It's about unity. It's about that union, that yoking, the yoga.
Yeah.
But I think it's confusing times because with these energy players, masculine and feminine, is women are on this like big drive to, I guess, heal what's happened in this oppressive state over many years. And what's actually happening is that they're taking up both energies. They're taking up, they want to show up as the masculine, but they also want to be soft and surrendered and seen as the feminine, which is in our this is just nature. What I'm saying is human nature. So it's very, very hard to go against nature. We're an evolutive nature, and I'm just speaking from that place. Like, they're trying to take up two energy polarities, and then men are confused because we have that, I guess, that direct sense that we're there for steadfast direction. And I mean, and I was chatting to hey, do you know Blake Peachy? Yeah, sweet. He had me on the massage table yesterday, ripping the elbow through my body.
Your part, yeah.
We had this, fucking hell. And we had this chat about this as well too. It's like, you can see men that are in pain, and I've recently just like stopped drinking for my own choice. I'm not against it. I just know that, like, what's going to serve me, and it's I don't really feel like that's going to serve me. Having a drink here and there, it's a bit different, but going out and excessively drinking just doesn't show up for my life anymore.
Yeah.
So, but I spoke about like what's happening with men. You see it like a UFC fight comes around. Let's just take a scenario here. A UFC fight comes around. Men hoard into a nice strong pack, and where they feel empowered, strong. There's that sense of like that collective strength and energy.
Yeah.
Let's say they go to a pub, they'll watch the UFC fight, and what they're actually engaging in is competition, is camaraderie and victory, which is like a natural element to the masculine.
Mm-hmm.
But we're also there having this experience with our mates, a brotherhood, having drinks, like, which is a feminine experience, like a nice meal, like it's the polarity there that we have. That's what we're attracted to. We're attracted to that energy polarity, that strong masculine presence and drive, like that sense for victory, and discipline, and then, but we also have this quality to us that we do want to feel relaxed. We do want to feel calm. We want to enjoy these I guess more fluid experiences in our life as well too. So we can't hide from that. Times are changing and it's outdated. Like a good friend of mine from the States smashed the internet when he dropped this. He got like 1 million views. It was, I don't know if you saw it, Kevin Orsland's Masculinity is Dead.
Oh yeah, I think I saw that.
Yeah, he dropped that, and it was like so polarizing. I could see why so many people got set off, but he's talking about this. It's like we need to awaken. We need to, in order for men to survive, because we're killing ourselves.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Let's just be upfront about it, not beat around the bush. We're fucking killing ourselves. So if we can start to tap in and realize that, all right, the onus is on us now to look at the dogma, to look at in Australian culture, it's like, as much as I am an Aussie, like the dogma and the stigma around what it means to be a man is so fucking outdated and bullshit, and that's where we're getting owned.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why I think like with the masculine and feminine thing, even with the women, how like there is that strong feminist movement. The feminist movement's almost could be called a masculine movement, because they are trying to elevate the women to that more of that masculine stature, rather than being the suppressed feminist kind of like girl who stays home, like in a dress, doing all the things, all the white housemaker, like back in the day. And what, like, back into your point then, just with the men, it's literally, we've got to this point where we see the old feminist side of things, like where we have to say, and that's not what feminism is as a modern man. You don't have to be like this guy who like cries all the time or whatever. Like, crying's great, but in the same respect, it's just even like admitting that you're wrong, like being inquisitive into the fact of like how things are done, or even just inquiring into showing that softer side of who you are. Like, that could just be being in control, or even being in awareness on how you talk to somebody. Like,
for sure,
rather than coming off at a bull at a gate and snapping, going A to B, it's like going, show that softer side and listen actively, and then like let everything else proceed from there. I think
for sure, bro.
Like, I think for men, we're getting caught up in the fact of that we have to be a girly man. We don't have to be that. It's literally just softening and allowing that more softer side to come through, whatever it is.
But that doesn't have to mean that we're weak, dude. Like, it's like, let's, you know what we should do? We should talk about 5 simple ways. Like, let's just keep it real simple, like, without going to go and create this big life-changing movement. Like, simple ways to show up and bring this energy through, so that you can move stagnant energy and be who you are. So we should talk about that. But before we get into that, it's like, it's not a weakness at all. Like, when you can start to own that nature that is within you and bring that into alignment to who and what you already are, like that. You become powerful. I look at these photos, and I don't know if anyone else sees what I see. It's, again, that's just, we don't see things as we are. We don't see things as they are. We see them as we are. I reflect back and look at these photos that I put up of me at near 100 kilo, probably over 100 kilo. And, at that point in time, I was like, man, I'm so strong. I could get any chick I wanted. I'm a weapon. Like, there isn't a weight that I won't shift now. Like, I remember these attitudes of mine. I reflect back on it now and I look at it, I'm like, that's the weakest position of my life.
Yeah, I've got the same pictures and I've got the same kind of situation. It's the same thing as, like, I was actually really quite weak. Anybody could have cracked open the surface and I would have just leave it. And back then, it would have probably been through violence that I would have probably like, just lifting weights and whatever. But like now, I actually, I'm pretty, like, we're pretty much bang on the exact same sort of situation that's been occurred. I think, like, both used to be in the gym, like lifting all the weight, could have been the strongest person weight-wise lifting, but under the surface was just this festering puddle of muck.
Insecurities. It's like, and that's, Jay-Z talks about this. It's an amazing interview. Like, Jay-Z's my man. I love him. There's an interview about him coming to consciousness. It was an interview with, I forgot the guy's name, but he talks about this. It's like, he talks about coming up to people in the streets, like, and they put, like, in the hood, they put it on him and say, like, what the fuck you looking at? And he responds back and says, what, you think I see you? And that's what he talks about. He starts to go on and talk about this, is like, that men are afraid to be seen in pain and seen as they truly are. So it's like, step by step, all we've got to do is start to unpack the parts of us that we think aren't meant to be expressed and start to lead with that in confidence. And I really feel like that's why I'm passionate to come on here with you, because I can see you doing that. And the more of us that come together and shine light, like, part of what I love to do as a leader is just show up as I am now, because I know that has the ability to change mental health. I see people ask me all the time, how come you're not involved with all the mental health movements? Like, how come you haven't got a Mo and all this sort of stuff? And I was like, because I'm doing the actual change. I'm too busy focusing on what's actually happening, like, and what's actually making a difference.
Yeah.
So I'm all for creating this awareness, but, like, things shift and things will start to move from this type of discussion outward.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and that's the thing, is like, we can have all the days and all the awareness days, but I don't know if you know Blake Worrell Thompson. Used to be a PT up in Sydney and stuff, and he actually he's been doing a fair bit in the men's mental health stuff as well, and he actually put something up the other day. It was like, it's time for action days. It's not just these awareness days and raising awareness. It's actually embodying what you do and embodying what you're bringing into action and what you're trying to make aware, and actually embodying that 365 days a year, and not actually like being outspoken for that month of the year, as that, like you and I are doing, is being in connection with men, women who are looking to better their lives and not actually go down that slippery slope. And I think that's the main thing for everybody who says they're a part of this movement, is actually being a part of that movement for 365 days a year. It's like, you're in it.
Yeah. And anyone listening right now, like, anyone listening right now that might be challenged this way and go, oh yeah, maybe I can do more. Like, I hope you're really listening to this. I hope you really just listen to what Tyson said and what I have to express around both of our journeys to where we are now. It's like, and where that goes, like, start showing up. Like, start showing up. I love seeing people get behind mental health, but there's also you also see it, like, people are using that to paint the image, like, oh, look at me doing my part for mental health. Like, get on your hands and knees and start being the person, like, that can change the world. Like, stop trying to change the world and be that person, because it's like, we don't need any more teachers. We don't need any more inspirational quotes. We need examples.
Yeah.
And we need them now. Every group of, you take a group of 20 mates, the stats are rising. I'm just pulling this out of my head, but it's like I think I pulled this off someone the other day. It's like have a look around your close friend circle. You might have 20 people around your friend circle. At least one to two of those men are in a position where they want to take their lives.
Yeah, it's like 50%. It's pretty crazy. Like you could be sitting, like anybody around that table that you're sitting with is literally someone had or doesn't know or doesn't have someone that they could potentially turn to in a time of need. And it's pretty crazy.
Exactly.
And especially like if that other half of the table is literally sitting there going, oh yeah, I'm all about men's mental health, but have you actually checked in with your mate? Like,
yeah, and this is exactly, and this is where we got to stop. Like, and this is what I'm holding people accountable for this. Like, listen up right now. What part are you doing, and what could you be doing to show up in the space we're talking about? Like, I want to see you. I want to support your visions and your missions. I want you to take inspiration or inspire me in this space. Like, we're calling you up. We need you now.
Yeah. I think that's important, and it does get quite overwhelming, I think, with the people who are potentially looking to help people, because it's like it is a daunting thing to come up against or come and meet someone where they're at, and meeting someone who's actually really in that really quite anxious or depressed state, and you're like, oh shit, like what the hell do I do now? But it's just so much, even just just giving space, holding space for someone is just literally but just, like you said, leading the way and drawing people in to your energy. If you're bringing this good energy, you don't have to be positive all the time. You can just be real and be real with people. I feel that's the biggest thing, is that you be real and not lead this false persona. People get drawn into that, and it's an infectious energy that you can potentially then influence people's lives.
I love that, brother. Yeah, for sure. We talk about. I said this before. We should talk about really simple ways to start to tap into the parts of us that are fluid, so we can find freedom. It's like just practicing holding space. Practicing holding space for ourselves first and foremost, like letting our emotions be present and honoring them. Go, you know what? I feel fucking angry today. I feel upset today, and letting that go, even if it's in confidence. Just like. For me, man, I shed so many layers by just crying, and just admitting that I was in pain, and just facing the pain, which to me that's a heroic act. If the masculine can do that, then he's a real man.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just and even just having that one moment, like even with your partner or a loved one or family member or something, and just saying, look, I'm fucking hurting at the moment.
Yeah.
And literally that. At that point in time, you've literally just changed the course of your future, because you've now admitted you've come
100%.
You've come to that feminine, and you go, shit, I'm hurting at the moment. I need you to listen to me, or just sit there and I just need a hug,
and just and this is the turning point, and it's like, and just meditate with yourself and just go, look, I'm honoring myself, and I'm starting to be authentic. I'm starting to own who I really am and how I'm feeling. Like, I agree with the superior man within myself agrees with this too. It's like knowing that our women are not our emotional punching bags.
Yeah.
But also knowing that we have an ability to be able to express ourselves too. If you express yourself in a relationship, watch the polarity evolve, not change, but evolve with your feminine, with your female. If it doesn't, I question whether either you're in good connection or communication with your partner, or I might also question if that person's right for you or not.
Yeah.
I think it's time men start to go, you know what? I do deserve to be expressed here. Like I don't have to fucking wear this body armor. I can take a little bit off. I'm not taking it all off. Let's just take some off. And let's just see what happens from there.
Well, absolutely. Yeah. And I've noticed, like, in my own relationship at the moment, like with Emma, our communication's great, but when there's those off days where like I might slip back into that masculine, and I kind of shut down, and it's like, no, what are you doing? Like this this female that you have here, like, she listens and she'll take it on board, and like, and you literally then once you start to like let it, and that dialogue um happens, those worries and anxieties and frustrations just dissolve because you're actually speaking your words. And sometimes I think with males, we we don't know how to speak our feelings. We just know how to speak
For
words,
sure.
and it's just like being in touch with like what that anger or what that upset is actually like creating for you, and being able to verbalize that in a way.
Yeah. Well, men know all about debt. A lot of our concerns, a lot of men's strains come into like this, like, has lots to do with leadership, and part of being a leader is like managing finances. Think about financial strain. Like, it's what tears relationships apart. But we were so concerned about this, dude. We're so concerned about the debt that's outward of ourselves. Like, bad debts compound, right? But frustration and the inability to express how we're actually feeling and what's actually happening, that compounds too. The repressed will return.
Mm.
So just like a bad debt, we need to get on top of our bad debt. We also need to get on top of these things that are happening. And you see this emergence of like so many different new man circles opening up, and even up at Modern Organic here on the Central Coast, they've got the mystery of the masculine. Mastery of the masculine. That's happening tonight. It was last night. Like, you see these things emerging. Even my events do shift men in this way. I have a lot more men coming to these things. I think I had like 110 people like apply for places and have interest, express interest, and at least 50 to 60% of those people are men.
Yeah, that's great.
When I started, it was all women.
Yeah.
So it's like, don't be afraid. If this is your calling, if we're triggering you, if you're looking at what we're saying and feeling connected to it, then brother, we've got you. Like, it takes a message. That's where it starts.
Totally.
Just focus on the one thing.
That's like, even like Em and I found on our flow states retreat. It was the same thing. It was like we actually had equal ratio, and that was one of the first retreats Emma had run where there was 50-50. Mainly, it was always females coming on these retreats, and it's great being somebody who can then actually influence people to come on these things, because you don't have to be a fisherman pant wearing hippie who's just going to be sitting in lotus pose learning how to meditate and do yoga. Like, anybody, like you and I have seen that, like, from where we've come from and to now. We're still not like levitating in a cave, but like, you can literally still learn that don't compare yourself to someone's chapter 9 to your chapter 1. Like
that's the one.
You literally just you can't. You might be holding yourself up against the wall, sweating bullets, and not being able to quieten the mind, which you don't have to quieten the mind. It's literally just you be with your thoughts and actually unpack them rather than running from them.
Hi, Emma here, one half of Flow States Retreats. I'm jumping on to let you know about our upcoming offering in Byron Bay. Join myself and Tyson for 4 nights and 5 days on the beautiful beachfront of Byron Bay. Our accommodation is literally on the beach. You'll learn to surf, or if you're already a surfer, you'll experience some of the best surf spots Australia has to offer. You'll have daily workouts, daily yoga, and you'll learn to meditate. We have a private chef, and our venue comes complete with jacuzzis, steam rooms, and saunas. This is an amazing opportunity to reconnect with yourself and to learn to find your flow state. All the information is on our website. Head to flowstatesretreats.com or check out the show notes.
A coach I'm connected to on Instagram. He's a Syrian, and I think he's in Amsterdam at the moment studying physical therapy. Amazing dude, so heart centered. He offered me something powerful, and he does this work with men. He gave me this quote by Robert Bly, and it's like, and I challenge men in this. It's like, if any help was going to arrive to lift me out of my misery, it would come from the dark side of my personality.
Yeah, I like that.
So it's like, yeah, it's a really powerful one. So shout out to, he'll probably listen to it. Shout out to Henry for that. One does not become, and this is an extract from my post I put on my Instagram. You'll see the image of the lion just fiercely looking down the camera. It's like, to add to that, it's like what irritates us about another can lead us to a deeper understanding of ourselves. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, that's what we're talking about now, sitting in lotus pose, but by making the darkness conscious. And no one judges us harder than our own mind. Growth is an uncomfortable process, and pain is a necessary investment for progress.
Yeah, it's absolutely right. And it's like sitting in that discomfort. As soon as you can take that step into that, just that mere speck of discomfort, and you know you're going to be okay on the back end of it, then that's when obviously that growth starts to happen. And that's beautiful, that stuff you just read out then, like especially the quote. And the dark side is the best side, essentially, because like that's what's going to bring out the best part of you. Like, as soon as you start looking towards that dark side and realize it's not as bad as what you need to.
For sure. That's the confusion I'm in at the moment. Is like I'm in this position personally and professionally where there's a lot of people that like they see my work now and I'm recognized and respected, even for people that might not like it or they don't understand it. What they're actually saying is they're within themselves is like they're confused in the admiration of this work and the effect that it has. Like, I've owned my darkness. I was the bloke on steroids, selling steroids, hitting people, like toxic masculine type shit. And the only reason that was happening was because of the pain I was in and what I went through. The lack of understanding I had for myself. It doesn't take a huge deep dive and like so much deep pain work to create this. I guess this more authentic connection to your well-being. Like that will come in time, but in order to create that alleviation, stop looking outside yourself for the answers. Stop looking outside yourself for the release. To ease the pain. Start to at least play 50-50. Have a beer, but then sit with yourself in silence and look into your pain and feel your emotions and be honest to what's happening. Get a journal. No one has to know about it. Spend 5 minutes in silence. Meditate with your mind, and then express on paper how you actually feel. Then close that book, and then do it again tomorrow, and then do it again the next day. Have a day off. Do it again another day. And just repeat that process until you realize that you're starting to express yourself and you're free.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just like any training, like most men who have been to the gym or anybody who does anything, any kind of physical activity will know you don't start running a full marathon unless you're an absolute and you don't start lifting 200 kilos at the gym. You've got to start from scratch. You got to start from an empty barbell. You got to start from 400-meter run. And that's the same thing with anything to do in your head. You're literally starting from scratch, and just be really kind on yourself, and just you start small, and eventually that starts to unravel and you go, okay, cool, I can see this is now. And that's the thing I think with modern Western society, we're stuck in the outcome rather than feeling into the experience. We want the outcome first and then not dealing with the experience. But once you start to experience this stuff, the outcome is there for you, and you go, okay, cool, like this is actually all this work behind me now is where I'm at, because I've now actually put the work in and experienced.
I'm going to ask you, for sure, I want to ask you a deeper question on that. Why do you think this is so? Because I want men to see themselves in what you're just saying. Like, why do you think this is so? Why do you think we're doing this? Essentially causing our own suffering.
I think we're stuck in this, or the way society is almost gone is that everything's so readily available. We can get everything at our fingertips. We can go down the street and we can have all of our food prepared for us within 15 minutes. There's all of, like you would know, and like we've seen, like in the fitness industry, get 10-minute abs, get all this sort of stuff, and everybody thinks that like everything happens like really quickly, but it's like the true work is a lifetime of work. And if once you find out that you can see that that you're not going to get the answer like that. It's going to happen.
No.
And you've got to be patient with it. And once you start to realize, okay, cool, like I'm at layer 1 of my onion. You've got many layers to unpack, but it's a great journey. And that's the thing, is like, I think what
so fulfilling,
those society things is like, you're not going to McDonald's. You're going to essentially, you're not going to McDonald's. You're going to the market. You're going to pick up your fresh produce, and you're going to make your beautiful home cooked lasagna that is taking you time. Is literally what you're doing with what you're setting off on your journey. Like, you're not going to go for that instant fix.
Yeah, that's the one. It's like it's just like it's trading in that. It's, you know what, like, not to criticize men, but it's also women as well too. But like, it's all of us. Like, it's trading in that weak mindset, that weak will, and it's like tapping back in to our willpower again, like taking control. Because right now, the way these things are designed is to take our attention and hold it. And this is where we're getting owned too. Like, what if we start to cultivate emotional intelligence? Because to me, it's like emotional intelligence is the way forward in our lives we live these days. It's like IQ is a thing of the past. Like, it gets your foot in the door. EQ determines how far you're going to go, which is why I'm so passionate about teaching emotional intelligence, like true emotional intelligence, not book studied emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
It's like, we think about these outer layers, and like, everyone wants this. Okay, I'm going to get fit, and now I'm going to take 2 days to build fucking rock hard abs, and that's on the outer layer. But on the deeper layer, it's like layer 2. We got they're borrowing this work from James Clear now. It's like on layer 2, we've got the process layer. And this layer is concerned with what we're going to do to achieve that. But on the deeper layer, we have the identity. It's like, if you don't believe that you're the type of person that can be fit, healthy, and be a leader, then you can have an excellent process. You can have an excellent goal. You won't fall because of your goal. You'll fall because of your process and the belief of who you truly are deep down. So it's really important to realize when we're thinking short-sighted, when we're feeding and we're constantly looping those instant reward pathways, instant gratification pathways of the brain centers, and we can start cultivating this new mindset, this emotionally aware mindset, that we understand that, like, every action we take is a vote for the type of person we want to become, and like, no single instance is going to transform our beliefs. Okay, but like, as the votes build up, all of our actions and what we do builds up. So too is the evidence of our new identity, the person we want to become, who we truly feel we are at our core. And that's why, like, habits are so crucial, because they're like casting these repeated votes for being the type of person you want to be, being the leader you want to be, being the man you want to be, you know. So there's a lot of wisdom in that, a lot of value in that.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's the little pieces of the journey, the little pieces of the puzzle. Essentially, you literally just like, what I really love about it is you can look back, like you said, like previously, where you look at those photos, or you look back and you go, holy shit, like, that's who I was, and who I am now is someone where you are like a shining light in your community, and it's and you just really you're in that place of inspiration for other people. And just for the guys out there listening, like, it's one of those things where it's just starting small. I think finding something that you can, like you said, the journaling, etc., and just starting that out and just becoming, like, finding a ritual. Like, that's what I really think is, like, either it's a morning or evening ritual where you sit down, and the evening ritual is great because you can literally defrag your mind. Like, you know how back in the day when those old Windows computers, and you'd have to like defrag it because it would sit there for 3 hours because you like looked through a bunch of like Pornhub or whatever it was, and it was just literally slowed down the computer. But it's the same thing. It's like, you've literally got to sit there, and at the end of the day, and you write down what you're really grateful for the day. But just get everything out. Like, my interaction with someone, like a bloke on the job site, really upset me. Like, that plumber, that he didn't get the job done has slowed my job down. I could have probably, like, and then you literally sit there and go, okay, cool, like, all right, that's that's done. It's out of the system. Like, we're not going to carry that into that interaction tomorrow.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Because that's one thing. One thing for me was when I was a carpenter by trade, and it's one of the things that really drove me away from being in the construction industry anymore. It was before I started this kind of like journey that I'm on now. It really drove me away from having to listen to men complain about everything that's going on for them in their life, not actually taking ownership over it. And it's now
and it's just unconsciousness, man. Like it's something that we're in control of. Like
absolutely. Like, you have the way you talk to your wife is an influence. You're under that control. You can talk to your wife better. She will actually probably respond better to you if you take the masculine out of it and meet her where she's at, and she meets you where you're at. I think that's just the biggest thing.
Bro, I think I'm just looking at the time. We've been here for a while.
I think we've covered
freestyling for about an hour.
I think we've.
So how get this out there? Share this message.
Yeah. So anywhere that people can catch you.
For sure.
Instagram links and etc.
Yeah, well, we're talking about talk about resources and stuff, and all this feedback. Obviously, like I've got a lot of interest around what I'm doing. Connect with me on Instagram. That's where I drop all the fresh. They're just like fresh stories of my lifestyle and what I'm doing with people, like just snippets. But I guess the deeper value. I've just started up on Prosperity Life on Facebook. You can add me on Facebook as well too, and there Ballard. But I guess the real juice of my work is now offered in a group setting. I've got this place called the Inner Tribe within the Prosperity Life Facebook page, and it's just a group of like minds. Like, I'll be inviting you there, and I maybe hope down the track as the topics that I'm working with these people for free, as they start to, I guess, emerge and show themselves. I'd love to have you come in as an expert and offer your expertise as well. Yeah, you can find me inside that group, and the value will unravel there. It's just like talking about these tools we speak of. It's like each month I'm theming each month. It's like we might be working through leadership, authenticity, self-expression, boundaries, sex, communication. So each month will be themed, and I'm going to be offering my tools, my resources, my skills, the things that actually work in all around the world with what I teach. So that's a really, really good place to get it. It's hot at the moment. So yeah, just find me on Prosperity Life, and you'll see there down the page as you scroll, you'll find the Inner Tribe, and send a request to if you're a good fit for the tribe. Like I'll channel that and realize and make that distinction, and jump on board, be part of this movement.
Awesome. I highly recommend getting on board then for anybody listening. And I think that'll draw us to the close. Dan, thanks very much.
Brother, thanks for having me. Been good.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's show. If you like what you heard and want to get all the info, check out the show notes. While you're there, rate and review the show. And one last thing, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the upcoming episodes. Until next time, my friends, continue to look out for each other and continue to lift each other up.